Hi, Tim Keenan here, aka Naneek. Hope all's well this good morning or afternoon, wherever you are. I'm going to try to do this blog or whatever it's called again, and I'm going to do it every week, and I'm going to try to tell you a story, a good story every week. And today I chose, through the help of my sisters, to tell you a story about me coming home, my coming home from Vietnam, and how I was treated. And I think it's a really good story and appropriate. Don't be scared away, because it's a pretty good story, I think. I think you'll like it. But anyway, coming home, a lot of soldiers in the Vietnam era had a problem coming home. And there was a lot of anti-war protesters out there. And they had the reasons for what they were doing. I don't know, but when replacements would come in to our unit, replacements meaning new guys coming in, when we would have, unfortunately, some of us would be wounded or killed, and we'd get replacements in, and we'd always ask them, "Hey, what's the #1 song in the United States right now? What's going on there? And what's happening?" And they'd tell us stories about. They would talk about music a little bit, but they'd also tell us about what's going on as far as the protest goes, and they seemed like horror stories going on back there. And so, we were really kind of concerned. And finally, the day came for me to go home, and I'll never forget it as long as I live, being out in the bush, out in the boondocks, and having my name shackled on the radio that the helicopter is going to pick me up the next day and bring me home, or bring me back to base camp, and my orders are there for me to go home. And I was so excited, kind of sad about leaving my fellows soldiers, who I would be so worried about, because the war is not going to end because I'm going home. But anyway, I ended up flying, going back to base camp, and a helicopter picked me up. I went back to base camp, and then checked out, and my other friend Mike from Milwaukee, he was leaving the same day I was, so we kind of traveled together to Cam Ranh Bay in Vietnam, and then we flew out of Cam Ranh Bay back to the United States. Very happy moment, and continued pinching myself because I couldn't believe I was actually survived. And so anyway, we land in Fort Lewis, Washington, and they pick us up in a bus, and they bring us to Fort Lewis, which is an Army base, and they give us our orders for where we're going to go. I had 6 months to go in the Army, so I got orders to go to my next unit after I went home on leave. And so that was the end of that. I got that, and then they gave us uniforms, just straight up green uniforms, no medals, no rank, no U.S. Army, no nothing, just green uniform. Looked like I was fresh out of basic training. And they gave us those, and Mike and I took a taxi, went to the airport. We stuck together because we were concerned about, now we're going to see civilians for the first time, and we had heard all these horror stories about how we're going to be treated. So we walk into the airport, and nothing happened. Nothing. And believe me, no one said welcome home, or no one said thank you for your service, or no one clapped their hands and said, "Oh yes, great, you're a soldier, la la la." None of that. No one paid us any attention, really. And we had heard what could have happened, didn't happen, basically. Anyway, we got on a plane, and we took off and went to Chicago. And in Chicago, Mike had to go. He took another plane connecting to Milwaukee, and I was going to get my plane to Grand Rapids, Michigan, my hometown. And my parents didn't know I was coming home. I was supposed to come home July 12th, and it was July 8th, so I'm home 4 days early. I probably hadn't written my parents in a couple weeks, because we were in a bunch of stuff in Vietnam, and I didn't have time to write letters. But here I am. I like to surprise people. I'm going to surprise my parents and my sisters and my friends. So anyway, I go to get my flight to Chicago, and there's a sign, or the person told me, "Oh, your flight's been canceled." And I go, "What? My flight's been canceled?" "Yeah, your flight's been canceled. There's mechanical problems." "Well, when's the next flight?" They said it's going to be about 3 or 4 hours. I go, 3 or 4 hours. Oh, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to sit here in the Chicago airport for 3 or 4 hours when I live 150 miles from here. No, not going to do it. I said, "Give me my money back. Here's my ticket. Can I have my money back?" They gave me my money back. I go, "All right, great, awesome." I get out, grab my duffel bag, get out, get a taxi. Money wasn't an object. I hadn't spent any money in a year. Oh, by the way, I made a lot of money over there. I think I've made $256 a month with combat pay. Anyway, I get out there, I get a taxi, I get in the taxi, throw my duffel bag in there, and the taxi driver says, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm going to Michigan, but I just want you to get me on a road, get me out of deep down Chicago here, and get me on the outskirts of Chicago so I can maybe catch a ride, hitchhike." And said, "But I need to get out of town here. I mean," and he said, "Okay, that's good." And so he took me. I think he drove me, I don't know, half hour, 45 minutes, a pretty long. You're stuck in traffic, Chicago, it's busy. And so, we're going and we're talking. He asked me, "So where are you coming from?" I told him. And he said, "Whoa, I thought you just got out of basic." I go, No, I just got out of Vietnam, man. I'm going home. I live in Grand Rapids." And talked to him. And we talked a little bit about his family, my family, and, idle chit chat. And we finally, he drives me, like I said, quite a ways. And he said, "This is good here. Just stay on this road and it should take you, Indiana and then Michigan," something like that. I said, "Okay, great." Get out of the thing. I grab my wallet, take it out. Said, "How much do I owe you, man?" He said, No. You don't owe me anything." I go, What do you mean?" He said, No. Thank you, man. I'm glad you're safe. I'm glad you got home safe. Proud of you. Take care of yourself. And I said, "Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I so appreciate it." He shook his hand and away I went. He took off. He made a U-turn going back to Chicago. I started hitchhiking. I may have hitchhiked 5 minutes, maybe not more than 5 minutes. And a car pulls over. I grab my duffel bag and I'm running. I get in the back of the car, throw my duffel bag in. There's a little girl back in there, about 2 years old, 2.5, whatever. She could talk a little bit. And the parents are in front. They're about my age, 20, 21, 22. I don't know, around in there somewhere. And so, we're going. And, we talk a little bit. And they asked me where I'm from. And I said, "I'm Grand Rapids. I'm just going home. And just got back from Vietnam." And I said, "Oh, God." So anyway, I'm talking to a little girl in back, and they're up in front talking. And all of a sudden, this girl, or the woman, the wife, well, let's call her Sue. I don't remember her name, but Sue turns around to me and looks and says, "Hey, how long has it been since you've had a cold beer and a turkey sandwich?" And I go, "A cold beer, turkey sandwich? Well, at least a year for sure. That sounds awesome." But the guy says, "Hey, we'd be honored if you'd come back to our apartment. We had turkey yesterday and we'll make you a sandwich. And I got ice cold beer." I go, Let me think about this for a second. "Okay, I'll do it." And I did. And we went to their place. And I said, I said to myself, how can I pass up this after being so worried about coming home? And I got the taxi driver, then I got this couple, and everyone's being nice to me. And so we go back, and I had not one beer, but 2 beers, and a turkey sandwich. And the little girl was playing with me. I was playing with her, and I got done. I said, "Okay, well, I better get going. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for doing this for me. You don't know what this means to me." And they kind of said the same to me. And the guy said, "Come on, I'll get you on a good road where you can get into Michigan." I said, "Okay." So gave Sue a hug and her daughter a hug, and went and got in the car. And the guy, Tom, gave me a really good ride. Actually, gave me a ride almost to like 131, which was going to go, it's quite a ways, but it's going to go right by Grand Rapids, Michigan. Perfect. So I'm there, and he drops me off. I said, again, thank you so much, man. Tom, you're awesome. And he said, you're awesome. And away we went. And he took off, made a U-turn, going back, and I started hitchhiking. I swear I did not wait long. I was, 5-10 minutes max. And that was another thing back there. People, when they came replacements, you can't get a ride. You got your uniform on. Some people don't pick you up. They just blow right by you. But I had the uniform on. Anyway, I stuck my hand. This guy picks me up. I hadn't waited 5-10 minutes max. He pulls over. I run up there with my duffel bag, throw the duffel bag in the back, get in the car, start talking to him. He says, "Where are you going?" I said, "Grand Rapids, Michigan." "How about you?" He said, "I'm going to Muskegon, Michigan." And I said, "You are?" And I'm thinking to myself, well, that's awesome. He's got to go right by Grand Rapids on the way to Muskegon. This is working out perfect. He ended up being a salesman. And he was either lives in Muskegon or he's going there on business. But all I cared about right then, he was going by my city. And I said, okay, hey, when you get near 28th Street, you can drop me off on 28th Street, because I know if I get off on 28th Street, I can hitchhike straight on down 7 or 8 miles and hit another road, and then hit another road, I'd be home. I know how to get home. Once I get in Grand Rapids, I got this made. He said, okay. And I don't know what else I told him. I don't know if I told him my parents' name. I don't think I told him my address, but I might have. I don't think so. I was expecting to be dropped off on 28th Street. That's all I know, because after talking for a bit, he knew I'd just come back from Vietnam as well, I leaned against the window like this, and I fell asleep. I have been up for 3 days. I was thinking to myself, I was just falling asleep. God, 3 days ago, I was in the bush. We did a combat assault, and now I'm in Michigan, and it just was almost too much to handle. And everyone's being very, very nice to me. And I fell asleep. And the next thing I know, I'm getting tapping on my left shoulder, and I look at the guy, and he said, "Hey, Tim." I go, "Yeah." And he points. "Is that your house?" And I look. Oh my God, it's 2079 Woodcliff, Southeast, Grand Rapids, Michigan. My house. I've been dreaming about this day, but I thought I was kind of dreaming. I looked at the guy, and he said, "This is your house, isn't it?" I was so, I don't know, I had this confused look on my face. And I said, "That's my house." He said, "You're home, man. You're home. Welcome home." And I said, "Oh my God. Okay, come on. Let me pay you." He said, No, Tim, no. Thank you." He said, "Thank you. I'm glad." Again, "I'm glad you're safe. I'm glad you're safe. You're home. And I'm glad to be a part of this. I'm honored to drop you off." And I said, "Thank you. Thank you so much, man." And shook his hand and got out of the car, grabbed my duffel bag, walking down the driveway just like I'm in La La Land. And there's no car in the garage, in the garage. And I walk in the garage because our back door is in the garage. You can go through the kitchen. We were always taught, don't go in the front door. That's for guests. We have to go in the back door. So I go in. I go up to the back door, and it's glass. And I look in. I could see in the kitchen. I saw a guy on the phone in the kitchen that I didn't recognize. And I'm thinking to myself, God, I hope my parents didn't sell this house while I was gone, because I don't know that guy. I do not know that guy. And he was on the phone. He turned and looked at me because he saw movement. He looked in the garage. He saw me. He put the phone down, and he comes out and he says, "Are you Tim?" I go, "Yeah, I'm Tim." He said, "My name's Terry. I'm your sister's boyfriend." I go, "Oh yeah, Terry. Okay, I know you from letters my sister wrote me. Nice to meet you." And great. I said, "So are my parents inside? Is Charlie, my sister, and Cindy in there?" No. I'll tell you that story in a second. Right now, go in and answer the phone. That phone calls for you. I go, "For me?" Anyway, I go in there and pick up the phone, say, "Hello?" And I hear, "Who is this?" And I go, "It's Keenan." Don't bullshit me, man. Well, I recognize the voice right away. It's the voice of my best friend, Frank Overmeyer, who, as a college, sophomore, junior, whatever he was in college at Western Michigan University, sent me more letters in Vietnam than my mother sent me. And believe me, my mother sent me a lot of letters. And boys, we don't write letters. I mean, but he did. He was an incredible friend to do that for me. He'd send me pictures of parties anyway, it was like, I said, it's Keenan. He said, don't bullshit me, man. I go, I'm not bullshitting you. I'm not bullshitting you, Frank. It's me. I'm home. And all I hear was bang, the receiver hitting. And so I know that he's getting in his car and he's heading over to my house. He lives on the other side of town. I go, he was as excited as me. So then after he left, or after that conversation, I said, Terry, okay, where is everybody? They said, well, they went to the airport. They heard from, I don't know who, that you were going to come in and you were going to surprise them. And so they're going to one up you. This is what I remember. They're going to one up. I'm going to surprise them, but they're going to surprise me before I surprise them. So I go, okay, this is going to work out. So we went in the living room and where I could see out into the driveway, and I'm sitting there, and he's got these curtains, they're kind of mesh where you can see out, can't see in. So I'm, sitting there talking to Terry for about 10 minutes, and here comes the car into the driveway. I look out. I see my mom and dad in the front seat, and I see my sisters in the back. Everyone's looking glum. Everyone's looking very, very sad. And, it was a bad time in Vietnam. Like I told you before, I think we had over 600 casualties. It was on the news all the time. Every time the doorbell rang, my mom, maybe not every time, I think maybe every time though, if I remember correctly, that I found this out later, that my mom would go down the basement and cry because she was afraid it was the 2 Army guys there to tell her son got killed in Vietnam. And my dad would go to the door. And that's what went on all the time I was gone. And so anyway, so here they come. And my heart's beating out of my chest. I'm so excited. This is the surprise of the century. So I set it all up with Terry. I was going to hide behind this door in the kitchen. And Terry was going to lean against the sink. And he was very good at what he did. Charlie comes in first. I'm hiding behind the door. Terry's leaning against the sink. I hear him say, so how'd it go? Is he coming? Is he in the car? No, he wasn't on the flight. Then my mom comes in. Terry does a really good job of stringing with this conversation of, so what do you think? Do you think he's on another flight, or what do you think? And my mom's saying, I don't know. I'm so worried. I'm just so worried. At that point, then I pushed the door back, revealing myself. And I said, what are you worried about? I remember last year, you said that I was going to, you asked me, and I said, I'll be home in a year, Mom. Don't worry about me. I'll be home in a year. Well, here I am. And tears. Major tears from all of us, a major group hug, and then individual hugs. My mom couldn't stop crying. I was crying. Even my dad was shedding tears. My sisters. It was incredibly, it was the happiest moment of my life. It was the happiest moment of my life. I mean, it was one of those moments that I could bottle this whenever I had a down moment about whatever. I could tap into it, maybe take a sip of it and experience that again. It was just the most wonderful thing. And I think, what happened to me along the way, the taxi driver, first of all, in Seattle, no one's spitting on me, no one calling me names, no one saying thank you for your service, but no one bothered us. Saying goodbye to Mike. and then the taxi driver, then the couple, Tom and Sue and their daughter, and then the salesman who dropped me off, and then my parents, and I think that whole scene, the whole few hours there, probably helped me out for the rest of my life, because I just got a whole different feel for what it was like coming home from a war, especially a controversial war such as Vietnam. So, man, I remember it like it was yesterday. It was just a happy time in my life. And I thank you so much for listening. That's it. That's it. I don't have anything more to say. I can't go beyond it, but I'll be back next week to tell you some story about something. It could be, I need to tell you some stories about the Appalachian Trail too, but I might tell you other stories about what happened to me after I had my leave when I had to go back to Fort Carson, Colorado. I got to tell you that story too. But anyway, thank you very much. Hope you have a wonderful week. Peace.